It's a beautiful Friday. Maybe, I don't know where you live, but it's a great time to remind everyone that the Florida Gators are the best college basketball team on the planet.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube. Happy Friday. I'm Brandon Olsen. Find me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with New York Giants on SI. Today's episode of Locked On Gators is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can place one bet for $5. And if you get that right, get $150 in bonus bets with FanDuel. And like I said, today we are going to just remind everyone why the Florida Gators are the best basketball team on the planet, right? College basketball team on the planet. An elite lineup that can go genuinely 8 to 9 deep. And for the first time in a long time, I wouldn't see someone come off the bench and go, oh, brother, this guy's coming in. I think that, for a long while, we've kind of had that with the Florida Gators where it could be a great team, but at some point, someone's going to come off the bench and I'm going to go, oh, this might get rough. But when you look at this team, you've got Walter Clayton and Alijah Martin are your two best guards, right? And you got Denzel Aberdeen and Urban Klavzar. Urban Klavzar kind of just started coming on. He had the eligibility issues at the beginning, but kind of just started coming on. But he's been playing in this really hot stretch for the Gators, just straight impact plays, right? He's been playing impact minutes and making impact plays for the Gators again since he came back. Against Oklahoma on Tuesday night was the most he's played in a game. It was 22 minutes, had just 10 points. But guess what? Shot 2 for 3 from 2, 2 for 4 from 3. Efficiency, right? South Carolina played just 7 minutes, shot 1 for 2 from 3. Mississippi State, 1 for 2 from 3. Auburn, 3 for 3 from 3. Vanderbilt, 2 for 2 from 3. Like, he has been someone who is all of a sudden just erupting during this hot stretch since the Tennessee loss, pretty much. And I do think that the Tennessee loss played an important part for Urban to just get the playing time that he needs, but also for Todd Golden to go, hey, we got to get him at least a few looks a game. If he's contested, if they're defending him, then so be it. But we got to get him a few looks per game. And they've been trying to do that. He's done a good job of passing the ball if it's not there, trying to create a little bit on his own. Denzel Aberdeen has been just, phenomenal. You can go back to when Denzel Aberdeen committed to the Florida Gators out of high school, and I loved it. I was like, this combo guard, great defense. The length is clearly there. And Denzel Aberdeen is maybe the least analytically oriented player on this team, we'll say. We'll talk about the actual analytics later, but Todd Golden, huge analytics guy. So he's going to look at it and say, hey, the most efficient shots in basketball, around the rim twos, catch and shoot threes. That's what we want to do more of than anything else. If you're specifically good at something else, then we could do that. If you're specifically good at the post fade, you could do that. Off the dribble three, you could do that. All those things. So it's not just, this is what we're doing. It's we're doing these and we're getting guys who are good at this. And if you're good at something else, you could do something else. Then you look at Will Richard is like the only true wing on this team. He's the only true shooting guard, small forward hybrid on this team. Everybody else, you can kind of go, okay, they're in this position. Will Richard, the only true wing on the team. Then the front court, of course, which it's interesting. I don't know what I'd consider the strength of this team. I think I'd say guard play, but Alex Condon is getting first round NBA draft hype now. So Alex Condon's there. Sam Alexis, for much of the season, was playing valuable minutes coming off the bench. Thomas Huck has been, sixth man of the year maybe in the SEC right now. He's just been incredible off the bench. And now that he's in the starting lineup, he's still playing incredible basketball. Ruben Chinyelu is that kind of stereotypical college big where, not going to have a ton of NBA hype surrounding him. He's just not valued like that. He can't shoot the three, and that automatically diminishes his value a lot. He's not a great midi shooter. He's not a good free throw shooter. Really diminishes the value when you don't contribute too much on offense. But he's a fantastic college big where he's going to rebound like crazy. He's going to kick it out. He's going to play solid defense. He's going to be a menace there, and he's only a sophomore. So you're probably going to have him for 2 more years, genuinely, because he's not going to be a high draft pick. So with the Florida Gators, you've got a guy there you could look at and say, all right, he's our big. He's our big for the next few years, right? Not to mention that you just got Micah Hanlogton back after missing most of the season. Like, even if he plays the rest of the way, he missed most of the season after the SEC tournament injury last year, SEC title game injury last year. Was expected to medically redshirt. Alice Condon got banged up. Micah Hanlogton burned the medical redshirt. Incredibly selfish move. A selfless move. Selfless move to come in because the team needed him. Okay? And the thing that, or one of the things that makes this team so great is that they play as analytically oriented as possible. And they've been built to do that. Todd Golden as a coach is always going to stress the, again, around the rim twos, catch and shoot threes. And I know so many people hate it, right? Like, so many people talk about why they don't watch basketball anymore because it's just a bunch of people chucking up threes and do it. And look, I don't get it. I got to say that. I don't get that. Like, I understand where people are coming from, but also I just disagree. I don't care like that. But that's what they're looking for. But they're not too rigid, right? And they're not absolutely stuck to those rules. Like, you look at Walter Clayton Jr. He loves the off the dribble three. Does it all the time. He loves the off the dribble three. Denzel Aberdeen loves shooting midi floaters from anywhere outside the paint, just right outside the paint. He just loves floating it up. And here's the thing. I don't think he's great at it. I don't. But he's gonna keep shooting. That's his game. That's what he wants to do. I'm getting sick. I could tell. Like, this is gonna be brutal. But he's playing the analytically sound ball for the most part. And then he has his possessions where he's like, you know what? I'm gonna play Aberdeen ball, which is fine. It's something that he's learning how to do. He's got length to get up over big men when they come up. And if they come up too much, he could pass it to one of the big men on the Florida Gators team. Pass it under the basket, get an easy dunk. Like, he's doing these things that, while they might not be perfect and analytically sound, they're still pretty effective. He's still a good guard, and defensively, he is phenomenal. I think Denzel Aberdeen's a really good defender. I think he's kind of overlooked there, if we're being completely honest here. But this is a team that the coaching staff wants them to play a specific way. The coaching staff got players that they think can play this specific way. It took a while for them to truly gel and start to play that way. But now that they're doing that, now that they're seemingly getting there, they are dangerous and they're playing like the best team in the country. And that's the important thing too, right? And we talked about this after the Oklahoma game. They're the best team in the country right now. They might not be ranked number 1, but guess what? They've beaten the number 1 team twice this season. Okay? So they might not be ranked number 1. They're the best team in the country right now. Look at the total body of work, and they're not. But you look at how they're playing right now, there's not a team in the country better than the Florida Gators in college basketball right now, okay? Not one team better. We got numbers to back us up there. We do. We'll talk about that when we get back with Locked On Gators. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, You can place live bets throughout the game. So let's say you miss opening tip-off. Let's say you miss the first quarter. You know what you can do? You can look at who's got the hot hand. You can look at who's just getting cooked defensively. And you can go place a live bet on that. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. Chef's kiss, baby. Chef's kiss. I hit 2 college basketball parlays this week. Beautiful. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. It's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. It's the end for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day, we are available daily and free, wherever it's in the podcast and on YouTube. And we're going to talk about the offensive analytics for now. We'll talk about defensive later. But we're going to look at the offensive analytics and how the numbers back up how damn good the Florida Gators are. Because I'll tell you what, the answer is that they're really freaking good, okay? This is a team that, again, they're built to play analytically sound basketball, and they're doing it. Like they just are. And they've done it in such a dominant way, especially over the past 5 games. But they've also gotten better throughout in terms of how they've operated, right? In basketball, there's a thing called the 4 factors, okay? The 4 factors are if you win in these 4 analytical categories, you will probably win the game. Or if you're good at these 4 analytical categories, you're probably a good basketball team, okay? And this is ranked, by the way, in order of how important those factors are to how unimportant they are. So it's effective field goal percentage, which essentially counts your normal field goal percentage, so free throws excluded, but it's weighted to make 3-point shots more valuable because they're more valuable. Turnover percentage, what percentage of your possessions end in a turnover. Offensive rebounding percentage is how many times you miss. Do you get the offensive rebound? So offensive rebound opportunities, so it excludes. It's your field goals attempted minus the field goals made divided by your offensive rebounds there. Okay? That's your percentage. And free throws attempted for field goal attempted is just, I think pretty self-explanatory. It's your free throw rate, your free throw percentage. Florida Gators, effective field goal percentage, 54.7% is 3rd in the SEC. Again, this is a number that has climbed for the Florida Gators as the season has gone along. Okay? As the season has gone along, they've gotten better in this area. Pretty damn impressive. Or at least as conference play has gone on, they've gotten better in this area. Over the season, they're still shooting this percentage. But from conference play, they were down, and then they've gone up. And part of that is just how hot they've been shooting from 3. Right now, they're shooting a higher percentage of their shots are from 3 than anybody else in the SEC. 44.7% of their shots are 3s. Highest percentage in the SEC, okay? They're also, by the way, as a team, shooting 36% from 3. 4th in the SEC. That's a pretty good percentage when you consider that they are shooting more than anyone else. And that volume paired with that efficiency is what makes them so damn good. Because look, you could be shooting 42% from 3, but if you're not shooting 3s frequently, then why does it matter, right? So when we talk about the analytics, it's, hey, we want good 3-point shooters that will shoot a lot of 3s. As in, hey, your quality of 3s are good. Your quantity of 3s really high, because eventually we will just outscore you there. 3 is more than 2. Crazy how that works, right? And so Florida shooting a ton of 3s, shooting great from 3 is really helping their effective field goal percentage there. Turnover percentage is something that this team has certainly struggled with at times. They've had some pretty bad games in that area. But one thing that they do pretty well, especially as of late, is that a good percentage of their turnovers are not steals. You know, it's pass the ball out of bounds. It's a shot clock violation. And yeah, no turnover is a good turnover, right? But those kind of turnovers, that means no fast break opportunity. That's the importance there. That's on the flip side. That's something I've complained about with this team before, was especially early in the year, was that, hey, they're not getting fast break opportunities because all of their turnovers are non-steals. They're still toward the bottom of the conference in that metric, by the way, of getting actual steals instead of just turnovers percentage force. So they're still there. Offensive rebound percentage. This team has actually, this is the one area where they've really declined since the start of the year. If you count before SEC play started, they were at like 40% of their missed shots they were getting the offensive boards on. That number is down around 34% now, which comparatively still really good. Like they were top 10 in the country going into SEC play. Now they're 6th in the SEC. Still a very good percentage across college basketball. Still a very good percentage. They're what? They're still top 10 in the country there. And they're getting more second chance points, right? They've got 14.9 second chance points per game. Second in the SEC. Sorry. Tied for first in the SEC, if I'm not mistaken. Okay? Or very slightly behind Auburn. That's it. They're right there. Then you look at the free throw rate, 32.3, 13th in the SEC. So that's the one thing where they're really bad at getting those looks. However, this is one of the metrics where it's probably fine. Like I'm cool with it that they're bad at that metric because they are awful at the free throw line. Okay, as a team, they shoot 70.1% from the free throw line. That is like 210th in the country, and that's 14th in the SEC. So I'm fine that they're not getting a lot of looks at the free throw line because they've been so bad at it this year. So that's the one metric where they're not good, and I'm cool with it. I will also say for everybody that talks about how over-dependent they are on the three ball, they still average 37 points in the paint per game. That's 4th in the SEC. So they've got the highest percentage of their threes or of their shots are from three. And they've still got the 4th most points in the paint in the SEC. They are getting you from both angles. They're getting you from everywhere except mid-range. They're playing analytical basketball. And as far as the turnover percentage forced, which is more of a defensive stat, but 17.1 fast break points per game. Tied for the most in the country. Okay? This is a team that for a long while struggled to actually get steals and force turnovers in general. Now, not only are they forcing turnovers, they're forcing them in position to go and create points off of that with steals. If you're pressing and they could lob a deep ball, they're going to do that. If they get a board and there's someone running and there's no defense played in transition, they're going to take the shot there. And they're doing a fantastic job there. So Florida Gators are doing a good job of playing analytical basketball, but also just taking advantage of those fast break opportunities, second chance opportunities. Like they're playing great offensive basketball right now. It's incredible to see. And while that may be the most impressive thing in terms of how they look nationally, the area where they've really taken strides is on the defensive side of the ball. We'll talk about that when we get back with Locked On Gators. Thanks for being Locked On Gators, your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free, right in the podcast and on YouTube. To wrap up today's show, we're looking at the defensive analytics for this basketball team. Again, we're looking at the 4 factors, which, again, effective field goal percentage, turnover percentage, offensive rebound percentage, and free throw rate. Effective field goal percentage allowed, 46.9%, which let's not even compare that to the SEC right now, right? Let's just look at how that compares to what they are shooting, because the Gators are shooting 54.7%, or their effective field goal percentage is 54.7%. That's a near 8% dip from what they are shooting effectively to what they are allowing effectively. That's a huge drop off. Like that alone is one of the better reasons, because like when you talk about the 3 points attempt, like if other teams were shooting more threes against Florida, maybe that'd be something that would be more scary. But guess what? 29% of opponents' points comes from threes. That's 14th in the SEC. This is a team that since the start of SEC play, like you look at the Colby Brays with Kentucky, I forget the guy's name with Missouri, but you look at those guys earlier in SEC play that were just ripping through the net and they were shooting fantastic from three. And you look at how they play now, they're closing out on threes more to force teams to shoot more twos for two reasons. One, Florida's got some pretty good rim protectors, right? Alex Condon, Ruben Chinilu, they'll meet you up top. Okay? So you make them shoot difficult twos because they're either getting into the paint and getting rejected, or they're going to shoot a difficult midi, which is what you like. If you're making your middies, you're making your middies. You live with that. So not only are they getting the most valuable shots of three-pointers, but they're also not getting the easy shots, the high-efficiency shots. They're not getting those. So the Florida Gators defense earlier in SEC play was horrible in this area. Now they're one of the best in this area. They've done a fantastic job. Effective field goal percentage allowed is third in the SEC. Okay? Turnover percentage forced 16.7%. That is eighth best in the SEC. It's still not great, right? But if I'm not mistaken, last time we looked at these numbers a few weeks ago, they were like 11th in the SEC. They've gotten a lot better there. Offensive rebound percentage allowed, 30.4%. That's ninth best in the SEC. Okay? And also, I will say this. I feel like when we watch these games, a lot of it is like stupid tipped ball out, and then the opposing team picks it up, and I hate it. Honestly, I can't stand it. It's something that drives me nuts. Just because like it's usually they tip it out, and the Gators have someone trying to run in transition, and instead the opposing team catches the ball and gets an open shot, and it drives me nuts. Free throw rate allowed, 36.1%, eighth in the SEC. That is the one area where they are worse than they are offensively. Effective field goal percentage, they rank third, the same. Turnover percentage, sixth on offense, eighth on defense, better on offense. Flip it. Offensive rebound percentage, sixth on offense, ninth on defense. Better there. But free throw rate, better, 13th to 8th. You look at what opposing teams are shooting from three, 30.2%. That's a second best percentage allowed, as in second lowest percentage allowed in the SEC. From two, 47.9%. Second. Free throw percentage. For some reason, teams can't shoot free throws against Florida, whether it's home or away. They're shooting 68.6%. That's the lowest percentage of free throw. That's the lowest free throw percentage allowed in the SEC. Allowed, we'll put in quotes. They're allowing 7.3 fast break points per game, which, by the way, is almost a 10-point difference in fast break points Florida scores versus allows. Fantastic differential there. 11.2 points off turnovers allowed is sixth. They are not allowing at this point a ton of steals or a ton of turnovers that end in steals, right? They've gotten better throughout the season has gone on. They started really rocky early on, where they were turning the ball over and opposing teams are getting fast break scores off of it. Now they've gotten to the point, like I mentioned, where they are not turning the ball over for steals. Defensively, they're not exactly getting steals. Again, it's an area that they've improved upon, but they're not exactly great there. They're 10th in the SEC at 6.3%. It's something they're improving upon again, right? And there's we're going to go even advanced or more advanced into the analytics here with if adjusted effective field goal percentage, which is basically weighing how teams shoot against Florida compared to everyone else that they play. Okay? That adjusted effective field goal percentage allowed is 42.7%. It's second in the SEC. Second in the country, behind only Tennessee. That's it. Tennessee's first in the country, first in the SEC. Florida right behind them at 42.7% allowed for adjusted field goal percentage. And all this to say that also Florida's making teams really work for it in terms of how long average possession length is. It's 14th in the SEC. You're really making you work for it. And all this is to say this is a team that roster-wise was built to play analytically sound. Coaching staff-wise, they are trying to impose this analytical mindset onto their team. And right now they're playing well in that area, and it's absolutely paying off. They're the best team in college basketball right now, bar none. It's over. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free reviews in the podcast and on YouTube for Locked On Gators. I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work on New York Times on SI, and I'll see you all next time.